If you ever had to lug your equipment around for a shoot, you know how annoying it can be to take multiple trips to and from your car. The solution? A production cart. But buying a normal one of these is usually over $1,000. I'm going to show you a cheaper alternative for about $200, and I'll give you the pros and the cons. So this is all built around a Husky 2-tier service cart. There are all sorts of options out there. An alternative would be getting one from Uline that's a little wider or has pneumatic wheels. This cart's wheels are really hard, so going over bumpy terrain could be an issue, just something to keep in mind. I also wanted to be able to transport my C-stands, so I found these U-bolts at Home Depot. You can go to any hardware store for these. I drilled a hole in the side of the cart and then fed it through and then used a couple extra bolts to secure it in place. And then for the base, I used a couple of these right angle brackets to attach a base for the stands to sit in. I ended up attaching a cheap mud tray for everything, but if you want to avoid the small inconvenience of stands shifting around, you can experiment to find something the diameter of the stand for a snug fit. I was actually in a rush building this cart because I needed it for a shoot I had later that day in the evening. So I threw this together like in an afternoon, and the mud tray still works great. Ultimately, there's a ton of room to customize and add what you need. For me, this gets the job done and saves me a ton of time and money. One important downside, though, is that because the wheelbase is so narrow on this cart, if you have a ton of weight on one side, it can be extra prone to tipping. I've actually had this happen once, and thankfully it didn't completely fall over. It just started to tip, and I caught it in time, but yeah. You get what you pay for. Another option to help prevent the cart from tipping over is to just more evenly distribute the weight across the cart. So like you'd have 2 C-stands on one side and 2 C-stands on the other. So that's not all just on one side. You just have to build another base. And then I just put it in the back of my RAV4 here and load it up when I need to. So I think if I was able to do it again, I would look for something wider and then get some softer tires. Another tip for moving equipment around, if you need to fly somewhere for a shoot, you know how expensive it can get to get those cases, like hard cases, especially if it's for bulky, heavy equipment like C-stands. One budget-friendly solution is to actually use a generic golf bag. Keep in mind that this is not a hard case, so your equipment can still be tossed around a bit. I lined this bag with cardboard to help give it some rigidity, and sometimes I'll use a towel to give some cushion between things in there. I've used this for a couple shoots in Washington, D.C., and the thing gets to be like 100 pounds, but it's held up like a champ for a couple shoots. Most recently, I picked it up from luggage claim and found that there was a rip up here. Nothing was lost, thankfully, but I'll either have to replace the bag or fix it for my next domestic shoot. So again, not a long-term solution, but something to keep in mind as a quick and dirty option for sure. And here's the setup I was able to get using the bag to transport the equipment. Anyways, if you found value from this video, consider subscribing. It's free for you, and you can always change your mind, but it really helps me. My name is Spencer Fackrell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.